My son was sick with a fever, but my husband mysteriously disappeared. In a rush to get to the hospital, I unexpectedly ran into my husband with his secretary's child at the pediatric clinic. So, I discreetly took a strand of hair from that child. The DNA test revealed that the child was actually my son. I am a well-known beauty blogger who transitioned to live streaming a few years ago. Due to the favorable market conditions during this period, my husband Lucas has also joined my company. Today I'm on a business trip, which was originally supposed to be a trip for both my husband and me. But Lucas said there's an urgent matter at the company that he needs to stay behind and handle, so the trip for two has turned into a solo journey for me. In the afternoon, I was still dealing with work out of town when I received a call from my son's teacher. The voice on the other end was urgent, saying that my son needed to go to the hospital immediately because he had eaten something bad. I was also extremely anxious. I contacted the child's father, Lucas, as soon as possible, but the phone just wouldn't go through. Helplessly, I had to ask the teacher to take the child to the hospital first and entrusted the nanny to stay at the hospital to help look after the child. Due to the severity of my son's condition, he was immediately given a gastric lavage after being taken to the hospital. As a mother, my heart was in my throat, and I hurriedly wrapped up my work, planning to rush home that very night. I had just gotten on the bus when I received a call from my son. "Mom, it's thundering. I'm really scared, can you hurry up and come to the hospital to be with me?" My son has always been a strong boy, and hearing him cry broke my heart. So I quickly comforted him, "Mom is already on the bus and will be there soon." I chose to drive back myself. What should have been a 2-hour journey ended up taking an extra half-hour due to the severe typhoon weather. I found my son's ward in the VIP area, and his father who had been missing for a whole day also turned up. But the funny thing is, when I saw him, he was diligently standing by the bedside of someone else's child, wanting to be someone else's son's father. I was at a loss, remembering that my top priority at the moment was to find my son. In the ward nearby, I finally saw my son, and my heart that had been hanging in suspense finally settled. As soon as my son saw me, he couldn't help but burst into tears, looking so round and pitiful that it broke my heart. Yet, oddly enough, he kept apologizing to me. He nestled obediently in my arms, calling out "Mom" over and over. He said, "Mom, I'm sorry. It's raining so hard outside, and I still wanted you to come back and be with me." The son spoke, and he cried. But he had always been a strong child. "I'm sorry, Mom. I was just so scared. I'm afraid that you and Dad will both abandon me." The son cried even harder, choking back tears as he was about to say something, when his father, who had been missing for an entire day, suddenly appeared in the hospital room. Lucas had finally arrived, followed by his assistant Susie. They were dressed casually, the man handsome and the woman beautiful, looking perfectly matched at first glance. I also noticed that Susie was holding a stack of paper documents in her hand. I glanced coldly at Lucas, but he didn't pay attention to my gaze and instead walked straight to his son's side. With an accusatory demeanor, "What's the matter with you? Such a minor illness made your mom come all the way back. How can you be so unreasonable? Do you know how dangerous it is to drive in the rain? Alright, this isn't a minor illness for our son." I interjected, "If you hadn't kept ignoring my calls, I wouldn't have had to rush back from so far away." "That's all for the sake of the company," Lucas protested. I glared at him, then gave a meaningful look at the clothes he was wearing, and glanced at Susie behind him. At this moment, a child with a fever patch on his head ran in. He stared with his round, big eyes, blocking Susie's way, and glared at me fiercely. "Mom and Dad, this auntie is so mean, I don't like her." The tiny voice caused nearly everyone to freeze in place. After a brief silence, Susie, as if afraid I might see, shielded her precious son behind her. But I had already seen it, that somewhat familiar little face. Susie was clearly flustered, and she began to explain to me with an embarrassed expression. "And yeah, this is my son. Children speak without filter, please don't take it to heart. The baby is still young and doesn't have a father. Usually, Mr. Lucas takes great care of us, so the baby just misspoke." I gave a cold smile, successfully catching the information in her words. But I didn't want to say these things in front of my son, so I beckoned to the child behind her. For some reason, the moment I saw this child, I had an instinctive urge to get closer to him. I couldn't help but want to take another look at him. So, I took out 2 chocolate beans from my bag. "Baby, Auntie here has some candy, do you want to eat it? One for you, one for your brother." Just as the child hesitantly prepared to come over and take the candy, Susie reacted as if facing a formidable enemy, roughly pulling the child back. "Didn't Mommy tell you not to take things from strangers?" Her sudden irritability caught me off guard. In my impression, she had always been timid and shy. She rarely spoke loudly, yet her manner with the children seemed quite unlike her. I stood there in a daze, and at that moment, Susie seemed to realize she had just said something wrong. She apologized to me again. "I'm sorry, Miss Anya, when a child has cavities, it's best to eat less sugar." She reverted to her timid demeanor. "No problem, it's good that Miss Susie is being cautious for the sake of the child's dental health. With the virus raging now, children have weaker resistance. To avoid infection, I suggest Miss Susie take the child back to her own ward first," I advised. I'm not sure if this is my illusion, but I seem to have accidentally caught Susie's sigh of relief. Immediately afterwards, she nodded at me and, with the child in tow, quickly left the ward. After Susie and her son left, Lucas wanted to talk to me, but I didn't give him a friendly look. The image of him and Susie standing by the child's bed was fixed in my mind, and I needed a reasonable explanation. So, while I was coaxing my son to sleep, I also reviewed the events of the day. I couldn't help but mind, because their actions today had already exceeded the bounds of a normal superior-subordinate relationship. No superior would neglect their urgent work tasks to take a subordinate and her son to the hospital for treatment, and stay there for an entire day. Unless the superior has feelings for the subordinate or is mentally ill. Lucas is clearly not mentally ill. After I coaxed Andy to sleep, I pulled Lucas into the hospital corridor. "About today's matter, I want an explanation from you." Lucas had an indifferent look. "What explanation?" "Susie's son just happened to be sick, so I brought them both to the hospital." "Can't you stop being so paranoid?" Hearing this, the anger I had been suppressing surged uncontrollably. "What kind of illness requires you to be by their side 24/7, to the point where you don't even answer the phone? Is someone else's son more important than your own, more important than our business?" "Oh, right, that child just called you Dad, I heard it." Lucas furrowed his brows tightly. "Anya, have you recently hit menopause, saying all sorts of irrelevant things? I'm tired and too lazy to explain to you. I'll call Susie to explain it to you." As he said this, he unlocked his phone with his fingerprint and then made a call to Susie. The first sentence he asked was, "Has Tom gone to sleep?" The reply came that he had. Only then did he ask Susie to come over here through the corridor. I didn't want to hear an explanation from an outsider and was about to turn and leave, but Susie was just too fast. Upon seeing me, she immediately launched into another apology. "Miss Anya, Mr. Lucas, and I really have nothing going on. Do you suspect us just to slander me, a single mother? It's just that my son was sick, and he simply helped out a subordinate. You know, we are a family of orphans and widows." She couldn't help but burst into tears, drawing the continuous glances of passers-by. I didn't expect that Susie would speak so sharply. Beneath her gentle words lay a hidden dagger. "If you really quarrel with Mr. Lucas over this matter, I would indeed be unable to absolve myself of all blame. Anya, can you stop causing trouble? Susie is already having a hard time managing alone with the kids. As her superior, what's wrong with me showing some concern?" Lucas could no longer hold back and loudly reprimanded me. I laughed. Did I make a scene? Did I act unreasonably? Was it me who called her over to clarify things? Did I ever accuse her of anything right from the start? All I wanted was a reasonable explanation from my husband, and for him to pay a little attention to his relationship with his subordinate. Did I do something wrong? Since it's my fault, then let me be even more absurdly wrong. Just as I was about to tell them my decision, Susie suddenly tugged at Lucas's sleeve and interjected, "Mr. Lucas, that's enough, say less." Lucas, who had seemed like a balloon about to burst in the previous second, deflated instantly because of Susie's words. I looked at Susie and slightly moved my lips. "Miss Susie's son took my son's father today. Is Miss Susie going to involve herself in our family matters now?" Upon hearing this, Susie's face turned red to the roots of her ears, and she ran off crying. And my husband once again took her side. "You're really unreasonable, you're crazy, old woman." His words stung my ears. "Lucas and I are in a relationship where I'm older by 3 years. Initially, he pursued me relentlessly, saying he wouldn't mind my age. He even said that in his heart, I would always be his one and only child, but now. I called him out, 'If you dare to leave, don't bother coming to work tomorrow.'" Lucas's footsteps halted. "What exactly do you want from me?" "Fire Susie." I announced the decision I had just made. Lucas didn't know that older people could portray being unreasonable with even more flair. I continued, "If you can't do that, I will fire you along with her." "Unreasonable, Anya, I'm telling you, I'm leaving not because I feel sorry for Susie, but simply to resist you." With that, he left without looking back. I went back to the ward alone, and tears uncontrollably streamed down my face. Afraid of disturbing my son, I could only hide in the bathroom. When Lucas and I first got together, we rented the cheapest basement apartment. The basement was damp, and even though we cleaned it regularly, the bathroom inevitably became covered in moss. Lucas, feeling sorry for me, never let me do the chores like cleaning the moss. Nowadays, as living conditions continue to improve, we have drifted apart. Reflecting on the changes in Lucas's attitude towards me, I realize that this time, we truly cannot go back. Even without Susie, we cannot return. I composed myself and made a call to my confidant. "I need to get to the bottom of everything. I'm a businessman. If we can't talk about emotions, then let's talk about interests. What belongs to me, no one can take away." But what I didn't expect was that after I fell asleep in the ward, Lucas came back. He was drunk and lay down beside me, falling asleep immediately. I was startled awake, but he soon started snoring beside me. I couldn't afford to be angry, carefully prying the phone from his tightly clenched hand. Gathering my courage, I unlocked Lucas's phone with the password and deliberately opened his chat interface with Susie. Just like I saw before, the two of them only talked about work-related matters and didn't discuss much about other personal things. I felt something was off because last night I clearly saw Lucas's note with Susie's name, and he even specifically pinned it to the top. On this phone, Lucas has only pinned me alone. I also noticed that Susie's profile picture is not the same as the one I saw last night. It's possible that they changed it temporarily to be cautious of me. But I still think it's more likely that Lucas's phone has a dual system. So I started using his fingerprint to unlock the phone, trying to open the other space on the phone. Just as I tried with the thumb, the system I had in mind actually opened up. I secretly rejoiced and quickly opened the chat window with the contact noted as CC. However, it seemed like their previous conversations had just been deleted, and I could only see a few lines even after scrolling to the top. "Honey, it looks like the old witch is going to get serious with us. For our better days ahead, listen to me and go back to appease her. Just endure a bit longer and absolutely do not get a divorce. We don't have the money to play her game." I looked down and saw Lucas's reply to Susie. "Honey, I know. For the sake of you and the child, I am willing to make this sacrifice. For 8 whole years, I lived like a dog by her side, all to give you both a better life. For you, even if it means enduring another 8 years of injustice, I am willing." Susie replied, "Honey, just hold on a little longer, at most just 1 or 2 years, our good days are approaching soon." I'm going in. Just thinking about that old witch's face makes me feel sick, but for you guys, I'm willing. Lucas's reply had a sense of facing death unflinchingly. My heart felt like it had been thrown into an ice cellar, yet I still took out my phone and photographed everything. All of this would become a tool for my revenge. However, my evidence is not sufficient at the moment, and I still need to take things one step at a time. The next morning, I got up and heard the nurses in the ward quietly complaining about Susie. According to the nurses, her child was still sick and had a fever, but early that morning, she insisted on discharging the child. It seemed as if she was afraid I might discover something. But she should know that her vigilance would only further arouse my suspicions. Moreover, she cannot guard against me. Long before she became cautious, I had already sent someone to obtain a hair sample from her son and send it to the paternity testing center. This child's identity information is questionable, I need to know. After listening to the nurse's gossip, I didn't wait for Lucas, who was sound asleep, and drove to the company alone. But shortly after I arrived, Lucas, lacking backbone, brought Susie to the company. Observing Lucas's attitude shift once again, I couldn't help but admire Susie's skill in managing her husband from the bottom of my heart. I glanced at them coldly, speaking without mercy. It seems the two of you have forgotten something. You were both fired by me last night. You no longer need to come to the company for work. Sweetheart, it was all my fault last night, please don't be angry anymore. Lucas fell to his knees with a thud in front of me. I felt only sadness. His change in attitude was all thanks to the woman behind him, not because he had truly had a change of heart. I pulled him up from the ground. All right, I forgive you. To better observe Lucas's every move, I decided to go with the flow and pretended to forgive Lucas. After all, having someone right under my nose is the most reassuring. Lucas let out a sigh of relief. Before he had a chance to feel happy, I told him my other decision. But Susie must be fired. Lucas opened and closed his mouth, but said nothing. Instead, Susie made a fuss. Anya, I haven't made any mistakes at work, so why are you firing me? As soon as these words were spoken, the colleagues who had been secretly watching the drama all lifted their heads and looked towards the office. I raised my hands and said, as the boss of the company, I have the authority to fire a small employee with poor conduct. What do you all think? I asked in front of everyone. The colleagues all lowered their heads again, none daring to speak up for her. After firing Susie, Lucas toned down a lot and often came to me to show his attentiveness. On the surface, I appeared calm and composed, but inside I was utterly disgusted, yet I still kept giving Lucas a taste of success. He wants to open his own live streaming account, and I approved it. But after several days of streaming, the data wasn't impressive. A few days later, Lucas came to the office to see me again. When he walked in, I was frantically investing money in a marketing account promoting Lucas's good husband persona. Last night, while he was asleep, I sneaked another peek at his chat logs. He proudly told Susie, all I have to do is slightly give in, and the stubborn woman surrenders without a word, agreeing to let me open an account and even encouraging me to make it big and strong. Susie excitedly rewarded him with several kissing emojis. Honey, then tomorrow you should invite the old witch to co-stream, maintain your good husband and good dad persona online, and boost your own popularity. When you guys get divorced, we can still use this account to make money from streaming. Since Lucas opened his account, I have come across countless marketing accounts promoting the 10-year marital relationship between Lucas and me. I was puzzled at first, but I found out last night that it was all orchestrated by the two of them themselves. Susie also proposed an even more malicious plan to Lucas, wanting to find someone to slander my innocence. Not only would she make me leave with nothing, but she also intended to ruin my reputation, preventing me from earning money through live streaming. Truly ruthless. But I'm not a pushover either. The fate they envision for me will be returned to them twofold. So I took the initiative, following their plan, and continued to give Lucas a taste of sweetness. I planned a special live broadcast for our 10th wedding anniversary and proactively proposed a joint live stream. Moreover, I suggested broadcasting on Lucas's channel to boost its popularity. Lucas was overjoyed, as using his channel for the live stream meant that the broadcast earnings would also go to him. While greatly promoting his good guy persona, he can also significantly boost his popularity. Therefore, he put in all his effort, preparing day and night. If I hadn't known about his and Susie's backstory, seeing him bustling around would have surely moved me to tears. But now, there's no feeling of being moved, only the thrill of impending revenge. I also followed their plan and deliberately found a fake partner for myself. His name is Peter, a recent college graduate, and now he is my personal assistant. Over the past few days, we have discussed work up close in the presence of Lucas and our colleagues at the company. Moreover, I even had him accompany me to pick up my son from kindergarten. We shopped for groceries and strolled around together, intimacy akin to a couple in the throes of a passionate romance. Lucas actually saw everything, but he pretended not to know, and perhaps in his heart, he was hoping I would do this. After all, these were the chips he used to ruin me. But they didn't realize that the initiative had long been firmly in my grasp. The day of the anniversary live broadcast has finally arrived. The company has invested heavily for this broadcast. Just for the lucky bag raffle prizes, they have prepared tens of thousands of items. I am a very influential anchor online. With various benefits added, and the gimmick of the 10th anniversary celebration, many people are paying attention. After the live stream started, Lucas showered me with countless thoughtful little gestures, and I accepted them all. At this moment, we should let everyone believe we are an incredibly loving couple, so that the eventual twist will be even more shocking. The live broadcast is approaching its end, and the profits from this broadcast have also surpassed previous highs. I am naturally happy, even though the earnings are in Lucas's account. The law stipulates that marital property belongs to both spouses jointly. When we divorce, all income during the marriage will belong to me, and Lucas won't get a single cent. The live broadcast continues, and I follow the live streaming process set by Lucas, placing the pre-prepared photos on the projector behind me. These photos document the little moments of our lives over the past decade, from getting to know each other, falling in love, getting married, to having children. In every moment I captured each photo here, my heart was filled with my aspirations for our future. I thought we could walk hand in hand until our hair turned white, but it was all just my one-sided delusion. At the last moment of the marriage's end, at Lucas's request, I gave him a heartfelt confession. To retain the audience, for every photo I displayed, I directly selected 20 lucky viewers from the comments section to receive gifts. Such a generous move attracted a large wave of viewers hoping to win prizes. Photo after photo was projected, marking the passage of my 10 years of youth. I wasted my most precious decade on a dog. I couldn't help but cry. Lucas also had tears in his eyes, and for a moment I couldn't tell if he was genuinely reminiscing about the past or just putting on a show in front of the screen. I think it should be the latter. I mechanically pressed the photos, but unexpectedly, intimate photos of Peter and me appeared inside the projector. This was something I hadn't anticipated. Obviously, it was Lucas's doing. He snatched the controller from my hand and flipped through the photos on the back. There were pictures of me and Peter picking up our son together and shopping at the mall. Lucas was relentless. "Anya, you must give me a reasonable explanation." I glanced at the live broadcast room, and the number of viewers had doubled again, with the comment section exploding. But I remained calm, opened my phone's photo album, and explained to Lucas and the audience in the live broadcast room, "Peter is my cousin. When I was a child, my aunt and uncle took great care of me. Now that I've earned a bit of money, it's only natural that I should repay them." Ignoring Lucas's startled expression, I moved the projected photo back. This one, my cousin wanted to see my son, so we went to the school together to pick him up after class. This one, I took my cousin to the mall, wanting to buy some gifts to send to my aunt and uncle. After speaking, my expression turned stern. I don't know who in the company has ulterior motives, mixing these secretly taken photos in here. But I warn you, today is the live broadcast of my and my husband's 10th anniversary, with relatives, friends, and a wide audience of netizens watching. I won't let this go easily. After the broadcast ends, I will report this to the police and get to the bottom of it. Lucas's face lost its color, and the comments section was buzzing with suspicions that my husband was up to something. I pretended not to see, continued with the lottery, and kept expressing my deep love for my beloved husband. As the photos finished playing, amidst the cheers of the many staff members, Lucas slowly moved closer to me, presumably wanting to give me a deep embrace. I pushed him away roughly and slapped him several times. Those present who were unaware of the situation were stunned, including the party involved, Lucas. I controlled the projection and displayed all the evidence I had gathered over the past few days. It included numerous records of Lucas transferring money to Susie, all in small amounts, using my money. I slowly began, my partner of 10 years, using my money, has been supporting a mistress and a child on the side, and I was completely in the dark about it. And this mistress was once an employee at my company, my husband's assistant. Immediately after, I released photos of them being inseparable and a harmonious family of 3, along with chat logs of Susie teaching him how to build a good husband persona. There are also photos of him cursing me as a slut and an old witch in front of Susie. Lucas tried to stop me, who had already gone mad, but was held back by the people I had instructed beforehand. Lucas, a good husband can't be faked. I loved you, so I was deceived by you for so many years. After I stopped loving you, I realized how truly poor your acting was. Every second I endured was unbearable. You wanted a divorce, right? After the broadcast, my lawyer will personally discuss the specifics with you. The number of people in the live broadcast room doubled without anyone noticing, and with teary eyes, I apologized to them. If I hadn't been forced to this point, I wouldn't have chosen to expose them in the live broadcast. What I wanted was just to vent. After saying this, I signed off, leaving Lucas and a group of onlookers bewildered in the wind. After the live broadcast ended, Lucas quickly posted a clarification on Weibo. I have never done anything to wrong Ms. Anya or betray my marriage. Such a brief statement could hardly quell the anger of netizens. Netizens grabbed their keyboards, speaking up bravely in the comments section. A man who doesn't love himself is like rotten leafy vegetables. Ugly but plays around, with a foul mouth blabbering on and on. Some netizens commented, I heard that the mistress also has a son, the same age as the legitimate son, and suddenly I had an idea. Below this comment, netizens built a long thread, speculating about the child's relationship with Lucas. Lucas must have felt guilty, as after being called out by netizens, he directly replied to them with a lawyer's letter of warning. I watched everyone's comments and started contacting a lawyer to prepare a divorce agreement, and was ready to go to court at any time. Just as public opinion was intensifying, Susie suddenly sent a message to clarify. The two of you can argue all you want, but please don't joke about a 10-year marriage. I'm just a small employee under the company. This kind of development really puts me in a position where I can't explain clearly. I have children. It's impossible for me to do anything to destroy someone else's marriage. Susie assumed an air of purity, but netizens were not convinced. Netizen, first time seeing a couple argue and the mistress comes out to clarify. Can you stop trying to be noticed, you buffoon? Oh yes, no affair, no interference, just had a thrilling romance with a married man. I forwarded Susie's message and posted her malicious plan against me in the comments section. Along with it, I wrote, you are not a bit clean. Before long, Susie sheepishly deleted the clarification, but my reply had already been screenshot by surfing netizens and widely disseminated. Many enthusiastic fans and passers-by rushed to my comment section to leave messages, hoping that I would cheer up and continue pursuing my career. But I want to tell netizens that Ms. Anya has never been knocked down. Netizens also expressed that the scumbag and the mistress must be punished as they deserve, and that is inevitable. I turned off the computer and massaged my temples. My first step had succeeded. Given this situation, it would be strange if she could make money on the internet in 2 days. But these are far from enough. Once I get the paternity test report, Lucas's bigamy charge will be undeniable. I want to make him leave with nothing. However, after receiving the report, I could barely stand steady. The identification report shows that the little boy who stood in front of Susie that day, protecting her, is my son with the same bloodline as mine. In fact, at that time, when I saw that face which resembled my son by 80%, I already had an idea in my mind. 7 years ago, I was pregnant, and the prenatal examination results showed that I was carrying twins. However, after I gave birth, both my husband and the midwife from the countryside told me that there was only one child in my womb. I also pursued it before, but Lucas told me over and over that it was a misdiagnosis by the previous hospital. An ultrasound, as a device, cannot be 100% accurate. Because I unconditionally believed Lucas, and was immersed in the joy of the child's arrival, I didn't dwell too much on the hospital's misdiagnosis. But 7 years later, as I looked at the child with features resembling my son, the suspicion in my heart could no longer be suppressed. However, this terrifying thought was quickly dismissed by myself. I still think it's more likely that the child is the illegitimate child of Susie and Lucas. But I still got a hair sample from the child at the first opportunity. I compared it with my hair sample and Susie's hair sample. The results show that the child is mine and Lucas's. It could only mean that back then, Lucas and Susie stole my child. In other words, as early as 7 years ago, or even earlier, Lucas and Susie had been colluding behind my back. I can't find my footing. The image of my child protecting his mother Susie in front of me that day is vivid in my mind. What should I do now to bring my child, whom I carried for 10 months, back to my side? And how can I make up for the years of neglect I have owed my child? Thinking of this, sorrow welled up in my heart. Just moments ago, I had won a battle, yet now I found myself crouched on the office floor, sobbing uncontrollably. I didn't cry when I found out about Lucas's infidelity, but at this moment, I was utterly at a loss. The office door was knocked on, and Peter returned with his son, who had just been dismissed from school and was carrying a small backpack. Because I was worried that Lucas might do something harmful to my son, I specifically asked Peter to pick him up. I wiped away my tears, wanting to pick up my son, but the little one immediately asked me a question I couldn't answer. He asked me, "Mom, does Dad have another child outside and not want me and Mom anymore?" I stared at him in astonishment, unsure of how to tell him. Seeing my silence, he obediently comforted me, "Mommy, don't be sad, you still have me. Andy is Mommy's child and will always be by your side." At this moment, I could no longer hold back my tears. My son obediently helped wipe away my tears, his small hands gently patting my shoulders that trembled from crying. As a mother of 2 children, I felt deeply guilty. They are still so young, yet I failed to protect either of them. I stroked my son's head and said firmly, "Mom will always be with Andy as he grows up. Also, Andy." I chose to be honest with my child. The child we saw at the hospital last time is not Dad's child with someone else. In fact, just like you, he is also Mom's child. He accidentally got separated from Mom when he was little, and now Mom wants to bring him back to be Andy's brother, okay? Andy nodded firmly and said something that left me unable to let go. Then Mom, that little boy has been away from his mom since he was young, he must have suffered a lot, we should love him even more in the future. My son's words solidified my resolve to bring the child back immediately. I strive to compose myself. Now, I hold the advantage. I need to seize the initiative while Susie and Lucas are still unaware, catching them off guard. I asked Peter to take my son back to the villa. Just in case, I also instructed him to find someone to protect my son's safety around the clock. After settling my son in, I reported to the police at the first opportunity. Lucas and Susie stole my child, and I will make them pay the price they deserve. With my previous prenatal checkup records and paternity test report in hand, I was on my way to the police station when I received a text message. The text message was unsigned, but I could tell at a glance that it was from Susie. She declared to me with the air of a victor, "Don't think you've won, you will never beat me in this lifetime. The people you care about most in this world are all by my side. Just based on that, you have nothing to be smug about." I ignored her, but the other end kept sending messages tirelessly. Some people think they know everything, but in reality, they are just poor fools who are always kept in the dark. I clenched my fists. This statement had thoroughly touched a nerve. I was indeed the fool deceived by my husband for 7 or 8 years. But as to who the real pitiful creature is, we shall wait and see. I followed the advice of professionals and submitted a series of evidence to the police station. That day, Susie and Lucas were both taken away by the police. I was present when they were taken away. It was because I had to pick up my son to go home. To avoid leaving a shadow on the child, I negotiated with the police to let me comfort the child first. Lucas saw me as if encountering a flood or a beast, immediately shielding Susie behind him. The woman hiding behind him, filled with grievances, rebuked me. "What are you doing here? This is trespassing." "Susie, I'm giving you a friendly reminder. I haven't divorced the man in front of you yet, and our assets haven't been divided. Lucas's property belongs to me, Anya. You're just a tenant and have no right to interfere with me." I pushed Lucas, who was blocking my way, aside. "Get out of my way. Where is my son?" I wasn't polite. Neither of them had reacted, so I repeated, "My son has been stolen by you. I've come to get my son. Where is my son?" "Anya, have you gone crazy? There's no son of yours here." Just as we were at a standoff, I heard a young voice coming from upstairs. My heart involuntarily started to race, and without realizing it, I smoothed my hair and headed upstairs. Lucas and Susie tried to stop me, but the police who were already waiting outside promptly handcuffed them. My path to find the child was unobstructed, yet my feet felt as if they were filled with lead at that moment. My mind was in a turmoil. The first time we met, the baby even said I looked fierce, and I didn't know if my sudden approach would scare him. Just as I was at a loss, the baby heard the noise and came out. The little boy leaned against the door, watching me warily, and whispered, "Auntie, who are you, and why are you in my home?" I let out a sigh of relief, crouching on the ground and opening my arms towards him. I didn't dare to tell him, I am his mother. "Can you tell Auntie your name first?" "My name is Tom, Auntie, and you?" I began to reintroduce myself to him. "Baby, I'm Aunt Anya. Mommy and Daddy have gone out to run their business, and from now on, Auntie will take care of you." "I don't want Auntie, I just want Mom and Dad." My heart clenched painfully, and I couldn't help but get teary-eyed. Seeing this, Tom hesitated for a long time before finally walking over to me. "Auntie, don't cry." Tom rolled up his sleeves and carefully wiped my tears. I took out the candy I had prepared in advance from my bag and handed it to him. "Tom loves chocolate beans, don't you? This is specially prepared for you by Auntie." Tom's eyes lit up, and he couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Yet he never reached out to take the candy from my hand, hesitating slightly as he said, "Mom doesn't let me take things from strangers, and she doesn't let me eat candy either. If she finds out, she'll scold me. Children don't know what they can say and what they can't." As he spoke, he also showed me the bruises on his hand. On his jade-like arm, there were patches of blue and purple. A mother's heart is connected to her child. Tom is flesh of my flesh. I reddened my eyes as I helped him tend to his wounds. With each swipe of the cotton swab, my heart ached a little more, and my hatred for Susie and Lucas grew a little stronger. They truly have such cruel hearts. Even a pet, after being raised for 5 or 6 years, should have some affection, let alone a person. I picked up Tom and brought him home, giving him the care he had been missing. In the days that followed, the little guy trusted me a lot, and the two brothers got along very well. Although occasionally Tom still insists on seeing Susie and Lucas, I am not in a hurry. Tom is still young, and the three of us are creating new beautiful memories every day. Those unpleasant, unwarranted memories will gradually fade away with time. We will get better and better. Lucas and I got divorced. Lucas left with nothing, and both children stayed with me. Lucas and Susie were both sentenced to prison for stealing my infant child. Later, I discovered that Lucas had previously sold counterfeit goods in a live broadcast room. After reporting to the relevant authorities, Lucas's sentence was successfully extended by 3 years. He also owed a debt of 900,000 yuan. 6 years later, my little ones graduated from elementary school. I changed their names and we began to embrace our new life. Lucas's perspective: I am Lucas. The reason I pursue Anya is not only because she is good-looking, but most importantly, her thoughts are also more mature than mine. I believe that living with her will not put me at a disadvantage in the future. Under my relentless pursuit, Anya soon married me. However, after marriage, I realized that she was not the wife I truly wanted. She was too rational and practical. I still preferred someone who was more dependent and affectionate. Later, I met Susie. She is my new colleague, very gentle, nothing like Anya, that tomboy. She is practically my dream girl. One day she told me that her ex-husband divorced her because she couldn't have children. I immediately confessed my feelings to her. Her ex-husband was blind and didn't cherish her, but I do. She can't have children, so at worst, I'll just steal one for her. Anyway, my wife is pregnant with twins. We acted on it, and under Susie's meticulous plan, we succeeded. That foolish woman Anya didn't suspect a thing. We thus formed our small family of 3. Given Anya's considerable online influence, I was afraid she would expose me, so I never dared to get a divorce. After secretly dating Susie at work for several years, I couldn't take it anymore. I want a divorce. I want to give a home to the person I truly love. Anya unexpectedly started live streaming and made a fortune. Susie advised me to hold on a bit longer, aiming to get a share of the profits before leaving. So, both of us resigned from our original jobs and followed Anya into live streaming. Unexpectedly, this decision turned out to be a mistake. Susie and my plan was exposed, and that woman Anya severely retaliated against us. She even had us sent to prison. I ended up in a mountain of debt due to selling counterfeit goods, and the first thing I did after getting out of prison was to go to Susie for help. But in just 2 short years, that woman Susie took the little private savings I had and remarried her ex-husband. I have nothing left. But once, I did have. I once had a virtuous wife, 2 lovely children, a decent job, and money to spend freely. But all these are gone. Now, I am left with nothing but a mountain of debt. It's all because of Susie. If not for her, I wouldn't be like this. I hate her. Today, I was beaten by the debt collector again. I stormed over to Susie to ask for money, wanting her to return my money. But not only did she refuse to pay back, she also humiliated me severely. She even called me a good-for-nothing. I can't stand her anymore. So I took out the dagger I had prepared long ago and stabbed her in the stomach several times. Seeing that she didn't move, I stabbed the dagger into myself. I hate her. We are all trash. I'm living like a monster now, so let's go to hell together.